All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? Hope you guys are doing well. Let me check to make sure that we are live on my Facebook page. I want to welcome you all here. Okay, let's see. All right, I see. Now, let me check to make sure that let's see. There we go. All right. Okay, all right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dexter Scott, and I'm going to serve as your host on this evening for our first annual, well, not annual, might be weekly, Man Cave Conversations. We're so excited to have you all here. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do, while Facebook sends out the algorithms has to hit everybody's page. We are live on my page. If you would kindly just share the broadcast. We have a phenomenal conversation that's going to be ready for you all on tonight. We hope that you're prepared. You know what? We'll even say this: grab a notebook or something. You might want to take some notes. This is going to be what we believe to be is going to be the initial conversation that's going to proceed with additional conversations, and it's going to be life changing. We're going to pull back. You know what? We'll pull back the sheets a little bit on this conversation. On the next conversation, we'll pull it back a little more. How's that? All right. So listen, thank you guys so much again for being here. You guys go ahead and share the broadcast. And we are excited. Let me look here on my Facebook page to make sure we are broadcasting correctly. Okay, so we got some good numbers. So we got 12 people that are currently watching. You guys go ahead and share this broadcast. We're going to ask everybody that's a part of me on Facebook if you can share it to your page. And we have some guests that are going to be speaking to you guys tonight. And we're really excited about it. So the kind of the question is, why now? Why now? You know, this is Men's Health Month. You know that, and the gentleman that I have is going to be coming up to speak. We share a personal bond, and we'll share that with you in just a moment. But it's very interesting. As we talk about men, as we talk about the things that men talk about, either they talk about or they don't talk about. We just celebrated, most of the gentlemen that's here, that's fathers, we just celebrated Father's Day. You good? We just celebrated Father's Day, and we couldn't be more excited about that. And, you know, I'll tell you, just from a personal experience, and you're going to hear some personal stories tonight. I'm 50. I turned 50 in October of last year. And it's very interesting. As I got closer to 50, when I turned 49, something very strange happened. It is something I couldn't talk to my wife about. It's something that I really couldn't talk. My brother Greg and I are extremely close. I couldn't talk to Greg about it. And I just felt weird as I started getting closer to the age of 50. I think I went through a depression. I really think I did because I was just feeling off. I couldn't quite figure it out. And I started looking back over the years. It's almost like the 20s, the 30s, they were like blurs. Then we got into the 40s. And as I started getting closer to 50, I started experiencing some things mentally. And I said, wow, man, who can I talk to about this? Of course, I could talk to my brother Greg, and we chatted a little bit because Greg is a little older than I am. But I was still trying to figure out, man, wow, who do I talk to about this? And that's why conversations like this, man cave conversations, are critical. You're going to hear from some gentlemen. I'm going to introduce them in just a moment. These gentlemen are powerful thought leaders. They are entrepreneurs. They're authors. They're pastors. They're apostles. They're bishops. So it runs the gambit. These gentlemen are from North Carolina, which is where I am right now, all the way over to the West Coast in California, and everything in between. These men decided to come together tonight to just share from their hearts, to share their experiences with you. We're going to have a chat, answer a few questions. They're going to give you their thoughts, their insights. And what we want you to do is just take away something. If you have a man in your life, if you're a lady that's watching us, you have a man in your life, invite them to get on this broadcast, because we need to pull back the curtain. We need to start having these conversations. And I'm going to share some statistics with you in just a second. And I'm going to bring up a name. You guys may know the gentleman's name, but it's very interesting because men deal with some things that we just don't talk about. Men deal with some things that we're just not going to sit, and I can't talk to my wife Tony and say, hey, baby, let me tell you how I'm feeling. My energy is low. I feel like I have some version of low testosterone. I can't get up and just take off and run like I used to. I can't get out of the bed like I used to. Something's going on with my back or with my legs, or something's happening with me mentally. Are we having those conversations? That's the question. Now, listen to this. A few stats, then we're going to get into our conversation tonight. Mortality rate. Men have 41% higher mortality rate than women and are more likely to die from 8 out of 10 leading causes of death, which happen to be heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes. You're going to hear some words tonight, as the words that I just mentioned. No medical claims, none of that stuff. We're just having a conversation. You can Google this stuff or you'll find it out yourself. Life expectancy. Men have a life expectancy of 76.1 years compared to the women's average of 81. Suicide. Men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women. Mental health. This is a big one. 31% of men experience depression in their lifetime. 9% experience daily feelings of depression and anxiety. And only a fourth of them seek health from a mental health professional. See, that's why we're talking tonight. I just told you I dealt with some version of depression over the last 2 to 3 years. I have dealt with some anxieties. What does the anxiety feel like? If you're sitting there and you're just heart's pumping and you're sweating and just trying to figure out, man, what's going on with me? It's anxiety, okay? Cancer, more than 700,000 men are diagnosed with cancer each year. 300,000 of those cases result, unfortunately, in death. These are some statistics, guys, that we just want to make sure that you know. Lastly, cardiovascular disease. 350,000 men die from cardiovascular disease each year, including heart attacks and strokes. So tonight's conversation is going to be about some of those things. It's going to be about relationships. It's going to be about stress. It's going to be about those things that we can talk about to just get it out into the air. You know, I've been in a health and wellness industry, a part of what my wife and I do with personal development. We've been a part of the health and wellness industry. And we could be presenting to audiences of 10 people, 100 people, doesn't matter. And after the meeting, I can see the men standing in the back of the room and they want to talk to me. And I can see them coming up on the side of the room and they're standing over there to talk to me. They don't come up to talk to me. See, this is a part of what we're talking about. Men don't just come out and start having these conversations. So we want to take that stress out. We want to be able to provide a platform so that we all can have some conversation. So ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do right now is there's a lineup that we have. These men that I'm going to just call their names out, and then we're going to go right into some conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, we have tonight with us Mr. Avery Williamson Sr. We have Mr. Ryan Piggy. These two gentlemen are entrepreneurs. We have Mr. James King, author, entrepreneur, speaker. We have pastor and entrepreneur and coach, George Johnson. We have Anthony Vickers. He is a preacher, call him pastor, finance professional, entrepreneur. You want to move some? Okay. We have Mr. AJ Fillinganes. I think he was able to join us. Get that for me too. Yeah, not right here. Bring that back up. Okay. All right. Mr. AJ Fillinganes, professional entrepreneur, celebrity chef. We have Apostle Dominique Campbell, all the way from the West Coast. Apostle, speaker, entrepreneur. We have Bishop Ulysses Upchurch, also an entrepreneur. And we have Mr. Randy Summers. He's also an entrepreneur. I believe Randy has a couple of Airbnbs over in the High Point, Greensboro area. So if you guys are in that area, make sure you hit Randy up. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to bring all these gentlemen up on the screen with me. And we're going to go into a conversation. Gentlemen, as I bring you up, feel free to say hello to everyone. and then we're going to get right into these conversations. I want to personally thank you guys for being here. You guys are very special to me. Some of you all I've known for several years, some of you all I've just met, but it's just like we're brothers. We're brothers because we share a common bond. We're brothers because we share the common bond of wanting to change the lives of people. So I have my amazing wife helping me out here. My hands are free. I got, what you call these, lady fingers? What you call these? No, spirit fingers. Tongue is clicking. She's bringing everybody on the screen. So I have some questions that I'm going to start presenting to the gentleman. But what I want to do is I'm going to call the gentleman up according to how I see them on the screen. So what I'm going to ask you to do, Apostle Dominique Campbell, can you just come up, introduce yourself to everybody, and just give a quick hello?
Absolutely. My name is Dominique Campbell. I am from Oakland, California. And Oakland has definitely raised me. I'm excited to be on with the panel with the gentleman tonight from Man Cave Conversations. It is an honor and a privilege to be here. And I can't wait to see what God will say through each and every one of us tonight, responding to these questions, getting to know one another on a greater level, and just continuing to grow together as men. We need this around the world. So I'm excited to get the fire started, whether it's virtually and then it becomes physically or however this maps out in the future. But I'm grateful to be here. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir, so much. Thank you. Mr. Ryan Piggy, come on up, sir.
Hey, great evening, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for being here, right? Taking the time out of your day to be here. But I think this is so needed for the men to just have a place where they can go speak. The Men Cave, right? A lot of people hear about the Men Cave, never see the Men Cave. So we're giving you a step into the room that is not always I'll say everyone can't go, right? So we're giving you a place to step in here and we're opening up, right? We're making this place a friendly place because, man, we need to talk. Man, we need to chat. Man, we need to share. Because there's power in that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ryan. Mr. Avery Williamson, Sr., come on up, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Avery Williamson. I am so honored to be counted in the number of these great men of God, great men of vision, great men of purpose. And Dexter Scott, of course, the organizer of this great occasion. I'm just so excited about the things that's going to be shared, the insight, the wisdom. You guys get a chance to see what happens at the barbershop, I call it, right? That's where real conversations take place, right? Yes, and so I'm excited to be a part of it. Thank you again.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Apostle Upchurch, come on up, sir.
Good afternoon. It's good to meet everyone. Just glad to be here. Just looking forward to it. I served in the United States military, and so we had a brotherhood. And so I'm always looking for that. Always looking for that brotherhood. It's something different when the men get together. We're not going to talk in front of our wives, our children, our auntie, our uncles, but we'll talk with one another. So I'm looking forward to this. I think this is going to be just very powerful. We thank God for Dexter Scott and he and his wife, how they have orchestrated something like this. And I met Dexter through Ryan, and I think this is going to be phenomenal, great leadership. I believe that we're going to see some things come out of this that needed to happen. We haven't seen since Manpower. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Yes, sir. Mr. James King, come on up, sir.
So grateful to be in the room tonight. I do believe this is the room where it's going to happen big tonight in the lives of everybody that's watching. I am James King, one half of James and Natasha King. My wife and I been married today for 4,287 days today. Partners in marriage, partners in business, always looking forward to sharing what God has given us. So just looking forward to the conversation, looking forward to learning, because I've always believed that it's always good to remain a student. I don't think I'm the youngest one on this call, but, I am 42. So if somebody's younger than me, God bless you. But just looking forward to learning from all of you all. Each and every one of you have wisdom that we all need to learn from each other. Each one teach one. So definitely looking forward. So thank you, Dexter, for putting this together and for involving me. I definitely feel honored to be here.
Yes, sir. You're more than welcome. Mr. Randy Summers, come on up, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm so glad that to be here with you all, and thank you for this moment. Such gifted and talented men, and the wisdom that shall be spoken and brought out from each one of us. I just want to say to everyone, looking forward to being able to learn from each one of you all and the wisdom that shall come forth from everyone that's here. And I sure appreciate you and thank you for all of the men of God that's here, and what's going to be inputted to each one of us, and how we will learn from each other.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Pastor Anthony Vickers, come on up, sir.
Brother Dexter, I'm grateful and honored and privileged to be a part of this process of sharing with the world what the Lord has given you by way of vision to bring men together. Brotherhood is beyond important, and I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to share and be a part of it. I learned from some great men, and I'm learning from you as well. So I count you as one of those, along with those who are part of this panel. So I'm just excited about what God is going to do among us in this atmosphere. I feel God.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, we have Mr. AJ Fillinganes. AJ, sir, come on up.
Good afternoon, good evening to everyone. I'm AJ Fillinganes, hailing out from Arizona right now. And I too want to say thank you for being included in a great moment in time. These conversations, these things that you said, a lot of things that many men experience and don't know how to deal with. And I'm here too for the learning experience and to share whatever gift that God has given me to share. Thank you for having me, Dex.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen. And we have Mr. George Johnson. He is not, he can't currently get on the camera. But Mr. George, his wife Shanita are down in the Atlanta, Georgia market. And they're powerful entrepreneurs and pastors as well. All right.
I got you.
All right. All right. Oh, there's George.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How everybody doing this evening?
Good.
Good. Listen, first off, I want to thank God for allowing us as men to come together. He allowed this platform to be created so that the help that we need, we can get. Like the other brother said, I'm also a veteran of the military. I played sports all my life, so I understand the brotherhood and how you have to nourish that brotherhood. And I thank you, Dexter, because you have been a pillar in me and my wife, like you and Dr. Tanya. When we met you guys helped us upgrade our lives. And I'm thankful for that. And I give you guys all the honor that's due to you guys. And you know, we love y'all guys. So thank you for putting this together. It's much needed. And it allowed the brothers to be able to have a safe haven, to have a conversation about men things amongst men.
Absolutely. George, thank you for that. I really, really appreciate that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Bring myself back in here. Okay, gentlemen, let's get started here. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get off into this conversation. Now, I have a few questions that I'm gonna throw out, and you gentlemen come on up, share your experiences. Now, for our watchers, if you're watching now live or watching on the replay, what I want you to understand is that we can try to definitely keep this into a certain time frame. We all have in mind that we're going to go for an hour. It may run over, and we're gonna ask you now, hang with us, because there's just some conversations that we need to have. So let's get started. Health and wellness. Now, the thing that brought all of us gentlemen together, it's being in the health and wellness industry. There's some products that we're all taking. We're recognizing that our bodies are changing. We're recognizing all kinds of things are happening. So one of the questions that we have here is Men's Health Month emphasizes the importance of physical well-being. The question is, what health or fitness routines have you incorporated into your life, and how has it impacted your overall well-being? You gentlemen, you can hop in however you want to do it. Let's have a conversation.
Anyone?
I can say for myself, I committed to walk / jog a little bit, 4 days a week, with my wife. And that has really helped. I have a routine of noni juice. I take the Lemu, and some of the vitamins have been real good. The probiotics have really helped because I had some stuff going on with antacids and all that. So I've committed to doing that, and then I've converted my garage, or starting to convert my garage, into like a gym, and to get back into that. So
Right.
because it just makes me feel so much better when I get that workout in there and
Mhm.
all of that. That's some of the routine that I've done.
Well, let me ask you something, Bishop Upchurch. So you said that you started feeling something. You said, was it an acid? Some kind
Yeah,
of
it
reflux?
an acid or acid reflux, pretty
Okay.
much.
Yeah.
It was killing me, but I noticed when I got on the noni, it started with the noni, the probiotics, and I do the Nuku. I do those three,
Mhm.
and just doing those three. And I do some of everything, to be honest. I'm just gonna be honest. I do a lot, but those are the main three. And I noticed when I got on that, it went away. It went away, and it started to be more uncontrolled. But then the walking and the drinking water and things like that, that
Mhm.
also, I think that was a part of it, because irregardless, I think some of it came from stress too as well, because I do a lot. I do a lot. So I think it was stress related, and but those products, just getting them in my body and getting into a routine,
Mhm.
and then really sticking with it and being consistent, is helped that to just diminish, to go away. The only time I get it now, because I love spicy stuff every now and then, if I eat something spicy, I may have a little bit, and all I do is just drink extra noni, and it'll kind of help subside it. Now don't do that. That's not a good example to do, the testing.
Right.
But honey, we ain't gonna be perfect in our eating, and it is in those moments that does help. But
Mhm.
that noni, the probiotics, I learned about that from my wife, that we needed those. So I take that like every other day. And it seemed to just help my gut health a lot.
Mhm.
That was an issue.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Who's next, guys? Come on up. That's good.
Yeah, I'll jump in, right? So I've changed, quite a bit. I mean, I've lost over 45 pounds, and just to talk about health in men, and I'm young, so James, I gotta tell you, I'm a 90s baby, so
He's the
um,
youngest.
I'm the youngest. Sorry, but listen, I've learned a lot, and one thing about this, if you're wanting to build a legacy, you have to be here to build it, and then it will live on past you. It's not something that's automatically given, and then it will live on past you. So I had to change some things so I could be here to build it, so it can live on past me. And some of those things were just the way I was eating, right? I mean, I work in corporate. I mean, I travel. I have a young family and growing family, and things are not always I can cook a meal or that. And so a lot of the times we was trying to grab fast food, or different foods that was fast. It would always have to be a fast food restaurant, but it wasn't always good for our health. So just thinking a little bit more about what I'm eating. Small things. I do go into the office. I drive to the office and commute. I park in the back of the parking lot, and I enjoy my walk into the building. Right now, if I do stick a good close park after lunch, I might take that. But initially, when I get there, right, I take a back parking spot, just so I can use that little walk, that little stroll, to get those extra steps in. You'll be surprised how much those extra steps help apply to your cardio. So those are some of the things that I've done. You know about some of the products that I've taken, as far as skinny drops. We call it Slenderize. Has been an incredible thing for me. But just balancing that thing, and my doctor's impressed, and I want to continue on this journey so I could be here to build this legacy.
Thanks for sharing that, Ryan. And what's interesting? It's funny you say you park in the furthest distance when you get in. I used to drive, and I know you guys watching, you can attest to this for the most part. I used to hang around to make sure I got a park at the front. I don't care where I was going, Target, Walmart. I'm hanging around because I want that park at the front. But then something happened. I started getting older, and I started realizing I have got to get exercise in. Now my mindset is more on, if I haven't worked out for the day, park as far away as I can so that I can get the exercise in. So it just makes sense. So thanks for sharing that, Ryan. All right, who's up?
It's the small things. And Dex, I'll just speak on one thing about men. Sometimes those close parks you can't pass up on, right? Sometimes like, oh, I would never get this park. Let me go get this park. You got to force yourself. There's some days I pull into a parking spot and I got to pull out. You need to go park at the back. You didn't work out this morning, so you need to go park at the back. So it's a challenge.
That's good. Thanks, man. Thanks for that. All right, who else wants to hop in on this one?
Hey, I'll go up real quick. Well, since I'm at work. So listen, guys. Some of the things that I changed is once I had full blood panel done, and it allowed me to see where my actual numbers was at. It really gave me a different perspective on health. Growing up, I was always a top athlete. But through the last 30 years and 28 of that being married and kids and work and things, I got not off track, but I got way off track. I think I was in a different area code from the tracks I was supposed to be on.
Mm-hmm.
But I began to change a lot of things. The eating is one. Me and my wife, we kind of went through a program and where we had to measure everything that we ate. We had 4 meals a day. Nothing could be over 400 calories. But even in that process, we started our health journey probably about 5 years ago, where we started to change up how we eat, what we eat. We began to get our exercise in. We ride our bikes, we'll walk, and now we go to the gym daily, and we try to get a minimum of 10,000 steps in per day. I get mine in when I get to the gym. I do the treadmill or the elliptical, but I also get it in at work because I get off the lift and I'll walk several times throughout the shift. So I get my numbers, my steps in.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that helps me is because I've always been a researcher. So learning about the body, learning about the parts of the cell, learning the difference between visceral fat and circumference fat, learning how the probiotics and prebiotics feed the good bacteria in your gut. You begin to understand that when you put things in your body, there could be an adverse effect or there could be a good effect. So just learning my body, what makes me feel bad after I eat it and what gives me energy after I eat it. That's very important to know what you put in your body and also what you put on your body. The colognes, the lotions, the products in your hair, your shaving cream, your toothpaste. All of that stuff count when you're talking about changing your lifestyle and having a higher quality of life. And not to be, shameful or embarrassed about where you at when you start, but know this, that your rewards will always be greater than your investment.
Wow, that's good. That's very good. Thank you, George. Thank you for sharing that. All right, anybody else want to hop in on that question? We can now move to the next one.
Hey, Dexter, I'd like to jump in real brief.
Yes,
I think Pastor George hit something that was very important. He said that he had to find out where his numbers were. Mm-hmm. And a lot of men, we don't go to the doctor. We don't get the physical checkup, the annual, the semi-annual checkups that we need to do, you know. And just to briefly share my journey, I went to the doctor, I think last month, and my A1C was higher, one of the highest it's ever been before. Right. Now, I haven't been eating exactly like I should, right? And so what it did, though, it challenged me to really, as Pastor George was saying, starting to look at my my food intake. What kind of food am I eating, right? Mm-hmm. Doing research and looking at how many sugars are in these drinks that I'm drinking, right? Mm-hmm. Really, making a lifestyle choice, devoting more, I'm a runner, I love running, right? But I can't use running as a substitute for poor eating habits, right? And so, just making that mindset change. First, go to the doctor, my brothers, go get a physical. Mm-hmm. All right, let's do that first. Then from there, develop that healthy lifestyle that you need, because we need to be around for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. We need to be living 100 and so years old, like Abraham and all these patriarchs in the Bible. We need to be living that lifestyle as a testimony. And that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I want somebody to just type in the comment section, guys, go to the doctor. Gentlemen, we're all telling you, go to the doctor. I told you I just turned 50. So they've called me already and said, hey, Mr. Scott, you have not come in yet. So I haven't put it off, but they let me know it's time for you to come in and get your checkup. So that's a priority. All right, anybody else want to hop in on this?
I'll do something real quick, and this is just for the younger fellas, right? Because sometimes we think that the doctor is just for the older fellas. And a lot of young men are actually passing away before their time because they skipped the doctor. They thought they didn't have to go, and they wound up dying for something that they could have actually prevented if they knew. So I have to give my wife credit. She goes to an internal medicine doctor. And I'm just like, man, I just need a regular doctor. I don't need an internal medicine doctor. I'm not, I don't have nothing crazy going on. But I tell you, my internal medicine doctor, he shows me the charts and all the numbers and the scales and the balance and where I'm supposed to be. And every time I leave, I get that. And I'm a man, I'm competitive, right? I'm looking at these numbers and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat that next time. So I use it as a game, right? I'm gonna get healthy. I'm gonna beat that. I'm gonna make my doctor be like, wow, what did you do? But sometimes you just have to go to those doctors who can give you that readout. And my family doctor was, oh yeah, this is looking good. This is looking good. But I didn't always see the numbers. So that was one thing I found very helpful. Men go to the doctor for sure. Young men go to the doctor. All men go to the doctor.
Good. Hey, I want to share. I got this. I'm gonna share this picture. You guys, can you see that gentleman's face right there? You guys might know who he is. But it's leading me into the next question. This gentleman's name is Giancarlo Esposito. He said, this is recently, that he went through 2 bankruptcies before landing a role on Breaking Bad. But he also went through a foreclosure on his home. And at his lowest moment, he considered suicide. He considered, I need this insurance policy to pay out so that my kids could be taken care of, because it's time for me to check out. So it brings me into this next question that I wanted to ask you, gentlemen, because this is some serious stuff. We're just not talking about health and wellness as it relates to our body, but we're talking about some things that's going to really touch you in another way. So mental health. Here's a question for you. How do you address and prioritize mental health in your life? And what advice would you give to men who might be reluctant to seek help? I think I'll
jump in on that.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
Go ahead, AJ.
It's something that I suffer with. And one of the first times in speaking honestly about it, mental health is so real. We see it happening more and more. And I always use this as the premise. Anytime those of us who are pursuing a spiritual life and you're striving to live right and be right to that higher source, that means that you're not doing things that the world may be doing. You don't take on that approach. So things are a lot more difficult at times. The thing that I will say is that with that mental health, do not be afraid to speak what's happening. Because when we keep it to ourselves and we don't open up and have that conversation, then we're isolating ourselves away. And then you're dealing with your own thoughts. And it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean that you're not strong enough. It just means something is happening at that point that is causing you to deter from the way you normally would think. So we want to make sure that we reach out to someone and have that conversation, because that's something that I do. I've done it with you. I've done it with Dr. Tanya. You guys have been a lifeline at times, just to be there to have that conversation. Sometimes it's just the hello that helps you to pull through when things might seem a little rough and tough.
Yeah, thank you. That's good. Thanks for sharing.
Dexter,
I can like we tell people to go to the doctor.
Mhm.
I feel like we need to go to a counselor. Myself, having been a veteran, been in the military, dealt with PTSD. And PTSD is not something you just want to go around bragging about, or you don't want anybody to know you were in the military. But I went to the Gulf War. I was in the middle of the Gulf War, went through that, dealt with a lot of that. So I really needed to talk to someone.
Mhm.
And so it was a counselor that I went to, talking to the counselor, total stranger, nobody that, you're probably going to see again in however long your sessions last or whatever. And it was quite relieving to be able to do that and to get through that, because later on I had an 8-year-old granddaughter that passed away. And I really needed somebody to talk to concerning that, because you're talking about depression. I felt as if I was going through a type of depression. It was bad. I was questioning everything. And here I am, a leader, still preaching the gospel, still smiling in everybody's face, then go home and you can ask my wife, I was messed up. I was messed up and fighting, mentally, to the point where that counselor helped pull me out of that. Starting to look at lifestyle changes, getting some rest, getting some sleep, just some different things to help balance things out. And then learning that there are certain things that trigger me to stay away from it, just stay away from it and all that. So I think mental health is very important. Self-care is very important. Taking care of yourself physically and, taking care of talking to someone, a counselor, a pastor, someone that's qualified to talk some sense to you that will understand and won't judge you. And I think that's paramount to me.
That's good. That's good. Thank you for sharing that. Pastor Vickers, you want to say something too?
Jump in on this conversation because it's critical, it's crucial, because sometimes pride for men get in the way of resolving the issue of mental health. When we need to really consider and think about, we take pride in a lot of things we possess, right? Our shoes, our cars, our home. But sometimes we ignore the space between our ears to the point where we allow everything else to possess that space other than the peace that God provides. So what happens is we get overwhelmed, we get burdened down, we don't want to talk about it, we want to think about it, we ignore it, and what happens is it overwhelms us to a point where we break down, and we don't address the real issues that we have. And sometimes we don't want to say that we have issues because, again, it's a sign of weakness. But you own it enough to let God repossess it, as you mentioned, repossession. He'll give it in place of that. He'll give us the peace, the joy, the soundness, the security, the strength that we need. But it takes a step toward faith saying, look, I have a problem that I can't handle or overcome or solve on my own. So that in itself relieves so much of the stress and the weight that mental health puts on us.
Yeah.
So
Very good. Thank you.
If I may jump in also, sir, I agree with both of my brothers. I think that our culture tells us to bottle everything up. You're taught as a young boy, boy, stop that crying, suck it up, and so we're taught to really repress our emotions, right? And so, it wasn't until, I gave my life to Christ, man, I started crying at church. I'm like, tears flowing. I'm like, what's wrong with me? This is weird, But, God was helping me learn how to release my emotions in a healthy way, right? And that's why finding a good therapist, finding a good counselor, finding a good circle of people that you can connect with to help us learn how to release our emotions in a way that's not destructive. Before I would get me a quart, give me a bull, smoke some weed, you know what I'm saying? Go out here and find somebody to get with, that was an unhealthy way of really trying to resolve things that I was dealing with on an emotional level. But now on the other side of the fence, God, as Pastor Vickers and Bishop Upchurch was saying, God has really taught me that it's okay. You know, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel sad. You know, it's okay to grieve.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of us, you know, we have to learn how to grieve properly. We say, hey, get over it. You know, no, grieving can take place over a space of years.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I mean, I still miss calling my dad sometimes.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and it's okay. You know, that's the part of life that I have to, you know, live through,
Hmm.
because grieving is a part of life. Joy is a part of life, you know. And so just learning how to embrace releasing our emotions in a healthy way is essential.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank
It's
you for
been-
sharing that. Yep.
I think it's been a great conversation, especially this part. And for me, guess to tell a little bit of my story and how I got to this point of dealing with, you know, mental health and things of that nature. I just start with 14 years old, 8th grade, and getting a phone call that my dad had been murdered.
Hmm.
14 years old, and that particular night, my mom took me down to my grandparents' house, and she didn't tell me right away what happened. And before the night was over, she finally told me. She broke down crying, and I literally felt a tear come down and go right back up. Like I didn't allow myself to cry because it was just unreal what was happening.
Mhm.
And then to get to school the next day, because at the time my name was James Roach. And on the news, all they said was James Roach was murdered. So imagine getting to school and everybody thinking it was you that had got killed. So that was one of the big traumatic things that happened in my life. That was one thing. September 11th, the same airport that they started from, I flew out of that same airport 2 weeks prior to that. 1996, the Olympics was in Atlanta. There's a bomb that went off at a concert stage. Me and my family was at that stage 2 weeks before that happened.
Wow.
Another incident at a friend of mine playing around with a gun, had a gun, clicked it at my head. No bullet was in it. So all these things just building up and building up and building up, and never quite knew how to deal with this stuff as a guy. And growing up, I began to watch God. Mr. Avery just said when he found Christ, I began to watch God lead me to other people who began to talk to me about life and certain things, and they allowed me to be vulnerable. They allowed me to talk. They allowed me to cry. They allowed me to see that there's another way to handle things than the way I was doing, because I was going down the path of drinking and smoking and just quick temper, bad attitude. But every time I would get too far, God brought somebody new in my life as a mentor and a coach who I can talk to, and it's been happening all the time. So fast forward to now, dealing with things now, I tell my wife all the time, I've earned my peace.
Mhm.
I've earned my peace. So this is how we do it. Self-development has become key in our life.
Yeah.
And before that, spiritual growth. I had to get to the point where I understood that I can go to God with anything, and he has me.
Yeah. That's
He
good.
absolutely has me without a shadow of a doubt. He's my all in my all. So I gave him everything, and he taught me how to forgive.
Mhm.
The woman who killed my dad, we're Facebook friends.
Wow.
That was the first person that God had me to forgive.
Mm.
And when I say I hated this woman, never wanted to see her die. I just wanted her to have pain. But in 2005, that was the first person that God allowed me to forgive. He taught me forgiveness. So in that spiritual growth, forgiveness was the greatest gift to my mental health.
Wow.
Because I'm not sitting around harboring all this stuff about, no, people are already forgiven before you do anything to make give. My dad's murderer.
Mhm.
I could forgive anybody for anything. And I know this is not my first marriage.
Mhm.
First marriage I went to, she stepped out on me. The day she came home, this is how good God is. The day I already knew that she had stepped out. And I simply told her these words. She told me what she did, and I said, "That's all you did?" I said, "We can get past that."
Mhm.
I said, "That act is not bigger than the marriage." That's why I said forgiveness
Yeah.
is one of the greatest gifts to mental wellness. So it's the spiritual growth, then it's the self-development. Every day, some type of self-development is taking place.
Yeah.
Where God is getting that junk out of me. Is either through Napoleon Hill books or anybody of that nature, listening to sermons and messages. I'm getting self-development on a daily basis. Thank my wife for that. My wife is the biggest advocate to making sure the family is growing in self-development.
That's good.
And the last thing I'm gonna say before getting back over to you all is scheduling time. Twice a week is mandatory. We got a day with our son, where work is put to the side. No, and nothing else matters but us and our son going out and doing something together. And on Fridays, it's date night
Mhm.
with my wife.
That's good.
Nothing, whether we could be in a corner in the house or the coffee shop, as long as we're doing something together, that scheduling with family helps. So spiritual growth,
Yeah.
self-development, and scheduling that time just to get it all out. But the greatest thing is that spiritual growth where God teaches us how to forgive. Because some of our biggest issues is forgiveness.
Yeah.
Forgiving ourselves, forgiving society, forgiving our jobs, and so much more. Forgiveness is one of the biggest things we can do to bless our mental health. Yeah, so.
That's good. James, thank you for that, man. Wow, you ladies and gentlemen. Men's Mental Health Month. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that, sir.
Can I jump in here,
Yes,
sir?
sir. Absolutely. Come on, Pastor.
I want to piggyback on what Pastor Avery and Pastor James alluded to kind of together, right? And one aspect is when it comes to mental health, one of the things that we don't realize is one of our greatest assets to defeating the issues we deal with mental health as men is our study lives, right? He was talking about self-development, right? So if the more you study, the more you actually can be prepared for the battles you're going to face, right? Nobody goes into war without having some measure of conversation in the war room before they ever get to the battlefield. If you go into battles without a strategy, you set yourself up for failure automatically, and you don't have the confidence you need to be able to handle the adversities you're going through, right? So one of the things that helped me in my spiritual development, right, and even my personal development was I ran across a scripture trying to find my identity in the Word of God as a prophet of God, as a young man in the kingdom of God, and I ran into 1 Samuel chapter 16, and I'm looking at Samuel crying over a man who's still alive named Saul, right? And I'm listening to God talk to him, and he literally says, "What you crying for?" And I'm sitting there confused, like, doesn't this man have a right to cry over the man who he fumbled the bag, he dropped the ball over the entire kingdom of Israel, and it was Samuel's sole responsibility to make sure that he was the one who was put in place to manage the kingdom, right? And it comes to me all in a matter of prayer. I'm asking God, and he literally says to me, he said, most people are not dealing with depression, they're dealing with transitional grief. He was grieving over his irresponsibility, even though Saul had not died yet. So now it brings about this revelation now, right? That a lot of us are dealing with grief over people who are still living, not just people who have died. We're dealing with grief in moments of transitions that are happening in our lives. And if we could learn how to articulate what we're actually going through in a different way than just making a generic statement of depression, we actually have a better chance of conveying our real issue. But you cannot do that if every time somebody else say you depressed, you go along with it because you haven't done any research to find out any other ways of communicating what you're dealing with emotionally, right? Like, for example, when Apostle Dexter was talking at the beginning, and he was talking about when he was 50, he felt like he was going through a depression. The word I heard was an eagle's molting process. It's where the eagle's wings have to be shed off. They go through this major measure of stress. They go through this major measure of not having the capabilities that they once had, right? And they go through this process of a major aspect of vulnerability against their enemies, right? But when they're going through that process, when they come out on the other side, their wings are stronger. They have a greater capacity to soar, and they're able to beat off their own beak to be able to eat and see at a greater level and range. You cannot do that if you're not able to know how to manage that process, and you're an eagle. If you don't know your identity, if you don't know your strategy, you're going to always be dealing with attacks and not knowing how to properly process, what am I dealing with? Is this spiritual? Is it chemical? Is it natural? Is it familial? Is it financial? Is it marital? Is it based on my childhood trauma? Where is the underlying issue at? What is the root cause and who's causing it? If I cannot speak to those things, then I cannot properly prescribe the medication that I would need in order for me to know what to take to get any better. Right? It's just like we say commonly all the time. We literally say, nobody is taking aspirin for a broken arm, right? Or you're not putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm, right? It's certain things that we're trying to apply certain things, right? To things that don't work because we're accustomed to seeing them as forms of medication, but we're not going after healing necessarily. So when we're talking about mental health, how do I fortify my mental health? How do I bring my mind into a place where I'm able to navigate not only my own life as a man, right? But if I got financial responsibilities, if I got church responsibilities, if I got kingdom responsibilities, if I got job responsibilities, if I got entrepreneurial obligations, if I am a husband and a father, and how do I know what the real issue is if I don't study to become aware of these issues across the board, right? Because if I got an issue at work and I'm taking out on my wife at home, that ain't her fault. So I got to learn how to compartmentalize some of the things I'm dealing with, speak to them directly, and then know what to do next. Now, you might be wondering, well, why you got all this to say? Because that's how I got here, right? I remember preaching with back pain because I couldn't figure out. I'm thinking of spiritual warfare. I'm like, the devil is, he trying to attack my body. And right, we do all this stuff because it's what we hear. It's what we see. So you say what you see, right? And you repeat what you hear because that's what you commonly know. Until I realized, no, the reason you got back problems is because you eating so much dairy stuff. You eating ice cream and cheese and I mean, you're doing cheeseburgers and you're doing all of this stuff, but your chemical balance is off. So it's messing with your back to the point where I can't even walk in Target with my wife, right? To enjoy her company throughout the store because I can't take 20 steps without being able to almost bent over with back pain. And I can't figure out what's wrong. I'm thinking it's a chiropractic issue. I'm thinking it's a skeletal issue. I'm thinking it's something with my muscles. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with what I'm eating. It has to do with what I'm feeding myself and what I'm enjoying that's slowly killing me because I'm not aware of what I'm doing to myself.
That's good.
And as a man, we have to become aware of what we are doing, not only to ourselves, but also we got to learn how to become aware of what the systems are doing to us in this world. Most of us are going to doctors that cannot help us with our real issues because they're in the business of keeping you sick. They're not prioritizing you getting completely healed. They're prioritizing medicating you to keep the prescription in your house for as long as they can.
That's good.
So if I understand what the industry is trying to do, if I understand that that's a strategy to keep me leaning and depending upon medication after medication, and I never actually become healed in my process, I never become whole in my process, I don't become aware of the issues that I'm causing myself and the detriment that I'm causing myself, then how do I ever get over it? But the man said, forgiveness is one of the greatest tools that you could ever incorporate in your mental health, and I'm done. But when do we forgive ourselves as men? When do we forgive ourselves to say, you know what, I wasn't aware of the trauma, the detriment, the lack of capacity that I did not engage in myself to better my family, to better my marriage, to better my ministry, to better my money, right? You got to get out of pride in order for you to come into agreement with God, well, what God wants you to do. And you cannot do that until you learn how to forgive yourself. Excuse me, I get fired up. It don't matter what time of day it is. I'm a preacher, so you have to help me. It is what it is, right? I speak for a living. But I want people to understand, when I get out of the pulpit now, my priority is to live what I just told you to do. Yeah. It's not for me to articulate so well that you never see it demonstrated in my life, and I become the fallacy of trying to be something that I'm really not. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's imperative that we find a group of men, right? It's imperative that we find people that keep you accountable and say, hey, brother, how you doing? How you doing with your weight loss supplements? How you doing with taking your noni? How you doing with your Limo? How you doing with whatever these products are that you're taking to make your life better, whatever knowledge you come into that you try to do to make your life better, that all is impactful to your mental health. Men who go to the gym don't have as much issues with insecurities because they know they're putting in the work. So mentally, you say to yourself, wait a second, I know I just did the push-ups, so why am I mad? It ain't no reason to be mad. The only thing I got to keep doing is keep putting in the work, right? And I'm not saying that we can get over everything in 5 minutes. But what I am saying is when you learn how to do the work, your confidence increases, the measure of understanding increases, your capacity increases, and now you open yourself up to a measure of understanding that other people cannot just easily offend you with things because you're like, that ain't even me no more. That's the old me. I've shed it, I've become better, I've grown, I've increased my capacity, and now I'm able to handle and manage the things that I need to do in my own life. All right, I'm gonna be quiet because I can talk to Jesus come back. If y'all know me, this is what we do. So
no, that's good. So look, so for you all that's watching, this is just amazing information. We're learning everything from finding a coach, finding a counselor. And when Bishop Upchurch said that, my mind was going to, but we're not told to do that, right? So we're talking about getting a counselor, being able to talk, being vulnerable, having forgiveness in your heart, all those kinds of things. And then what Apostle Dom just said, men, and I want somebody, if you could type this just type it in the comment section, ask yourself the questions. How can I identify what my issue is? Do I have to go back to my childhood? You know, it was interesting. For the last couple of weeks, I've had a couple of dreams of when I was a kid. And I've been like, look, why am I dreaming about when I was a kid? So I started to ask the question, so what went on back there? That's affected me now. So men, you guys that are watching now on the replay, what's the issue? Identify the issue so that it can be uprooted, so we can be free. We can be free to cry if we need to. We need to be able to forgive people. You know, one of the most powerful things ever is to hear that I don't care whatever somebody does to me, what Apostle James King said. You know, I threw that in there, right? Well, basically what he said, if he can forgive that lady, you can't do nothing to me, man. I can't forgive you. Come on, y'all. Men, let's get rid of this stuff. Let's be real. What is the issue? Am I eating too much stuff that's causing inflammation in the body? Over 50% of deaths is caused by inflammation. So let's just work on that stuff, okay? Now, I got another question I'm gonna bring up, and this gentleman that I'm gonna direct this question to is perfect for him. The question is about faith. Can you discuss a time when your faith was tested and how you navigated that period in your life? I'm going to ask Mr. Randy Summers if you can come up, Mr. Summers, and address that question. It's about faith. How did you navigate a time in your life that you was tested?
A time in my life when I was tested was really when I had when I went to the doctor, and they had diagnosed me with prostate cancer, because I more or less was a person of thinking healthy, looking at being a person of eating healthy most of my life, because my parents had always cooked healthy, even when I met Renee, her parents, especially her mother, and they always ate healthy. And that time in my life of faith when I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, that was a time where I had to really uh, give my faith and allow my faith to be in the hands of God and within my mind, so that I could enable myself mentally, spiritually, also, that I could truly trust God and say, God, uh, uh, you're going to have to do this, and you're going to have to help my faith. And what really took the faith at the level where I could say, hey, that uh, when I was introduced to you all with the Noni, and how it more or less had me when I had to go to the doctors and I had to get myself diagnosed and everything, going back when they said I need to come back, and how the Noni really uh, took me and enabled me to say, well, God, this is how you're going to use my faith, trust in you for the healing in my body, the natural resources that I've always looked at for me to do, and always thought about how I ate healthy throughout my life. And once I was introduced to the Noni, through you all, you and your wife, and even the other, people that surrounded you all, that really enabled me to know that, well, God, you had enabled my faith to be totally in your hands, and I, turn it over to you.
Randy, thank you for that. So if I can ask you a quick question. So when did you get the diagnosis, and then what happened after you started taking the product that helped you with that?
Okay, I had got the diagnosed with the prostate cancer in 2023, and that's when I had had to go through the process of going to the doctor. When they told me to come back and get the dates and everything, the way that they could see how the PSA level in August of 23 went to a 10.5, and in February of 2024, the PSA level went to a 3.5. It was like a completely normal range.
Awesome. Y'all, let's give it up. Let's give it up. Wow. That's amazing. See that, man? Thank you, Randy. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, sir.
Blessing
Yes, sir.
all of our ears and all of the listeners and watchers. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So the question on the table was just the faith. Can you discuss a time that your faith was tested and how you navigated that period in your life? So I know that we're an hour in, everything is flowing very well. So I'll throw that question out there. If one or two of you want to hop at that, and then we'll turn the corner and start bringing it in. So anybody want to hop in on that one?
Yeah, I'll jump just really quick, and I'll try to keep it quick. I was 23 at the time when I got news. I was called into my leader's office and got news that my job was being eliminated throughout the entire company. Right, and I was I was at the time I was living by myself, and I was the breadwinner for me. Right, I moved out when I was 17. I crossed the stage, graduation, moved out, moved to Raleigh, and said, I'm not going back. Right. So when I got laid off, I mean, that's for a man, that's going to test you.
Yeah.
Right. That's going to, it's like you got 2 weeks or 30 days, and it's just like, what am I going to do? Right. So as any man, I call mama. I call my mom at the time. I'm 23, right? I was out here on my own and trying to do things, and it's just like, she said, Ryan, you always find a way. You always figure things out, right? It was just more of the pump up. And she taught back to just kind of depend on your faith. And there was one scripture in Psalms 55:22, cast your cares on the Lord and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. So I was just reminded to not be shaken, and that God got me. Before I even actually served a day of actually not having a job. I left the job on that Friday, had the weekend, and started my new job on that Monday. So there was never a time where I missed a paycheck. I had paychecks stacked on top of paychecks. And then at the time, I was, building my health and wellness business as well. So I had those paychecks coming in. And it was just one of those things. You just got to be reminded. And this could be for the men that are dealing with stress, for the men that are out there that maybe are going through a job change or career change or things that's going on. Just know with your faith that the Lord's going to sustain you if you keep your faith strong. And a lot of people say, Ryan, you deal with stress. I don't actually ever see you stressed out. I don't stress. A lot of these things are out of my control. God, this is where you directed me. And I walk based on where the Spirit led me. So, Lord, this is yours. This is not mine. I'm going to do what you asked me, but this belongs to you. And every step of the way, he sustains me and gets me to the place where it is. So I lean on my faith a lot because that's the only compass that I know. And it hasn't failed me. And I believe that I know that it never will. And I'll continue to do that. And I do that for my family. Right. So as we navigate these as a young family and we're navigating life, and you gotta lean strong on your faith, and you gotta get in the word and really understand it and break it down. For the young people, it's like, well, how do you break down the word? You on your phones all the time, start chat GPT and some scriptures, and you'll be surprised on how much you can learn and study. Or just understanding how scriptures can break down, try different translations, and then find your anchor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was like, I got this scripture tatted on my arm, right? Yeah. Do you really know what it means, right? So find that anchor scripture that no matter what you go through, that you can actually go back and depend on. And that's men, we're built for some of this. I mean, some people say Ford tough, depends on what you like. I don't want to offend no way. I drive a GMC, but that's no matter, we're not talking about that. It's just, find something that you can lean on in that scripture, but just know that no matter what come your way, you're built to sustain the turbulence. You're built to sustain the load. You're built for whatever you're going through as a man. So it's okay to shed a tear. It's okay to understand. And, maybe if you got to get in touch with your emotions, I'm learning that as well, but it's okay. But just know, on the other side, that joy comes in the morning. Everybody likes to say that. But just to know that it's morning time, right? The morning shall come and you will see the morning.
Oh, that's outstanding. Somebody type, she said Psalm 22, 55 and 22, right, Ryan? That's awesome.
55 and 22.
Yeah, somebody typed it in the comment section. I'll tell mine real quick. One of the things, when Ty and I got married, we wanted to have children of our own. So we went to the doctor. And this was 2000, I think it was 2000, somewhere around in there. And the doctor, they looked at Tanya, and you know how cold and callous doctors can be. Well, the doctor, looked at Tanya, and he said, well, one of your tubes is totally destroyed. The other one is so small that you guys won't be able to have kids. And, that's what he said. So he started, Tanya's got emotional, and I'm standing there, and I was just standing there like this, and Tanya was on the table. Tanya looks at me, and I just said, I didn't say a word. Whose report are we going to believe? That's what I said. So Tanya went back to work, and a coworker said to her, you guys need to fast for 9 days, water only. Tanya came home and told me, I said, let's do it. Because I said, the enemy is not going to tell you to tell me that. That has to be God. So 9 days, water only. And I said, you know what? Let's go to the store. I think Tanya came up with the idea. She said, let's go to the store and buy a baby bag. But let's not just buy one, let's buy two. So we went to the store, bought the baby bag, and Tanya said, so where should we keep it? We had an extra bedroom. Nobody was in it. I said, let's put it in the baby's room. Just put it in the baby's room. Put it in the baby. And it became baby's room, baby's room, and it just became a part of our language. Well, Tanya gets sick. We go to the doctor. She's pregnant with Morgan, right? Shortly after that, like 6 months or so later, or after she had the baby, she's pregnant with Tyler. Two babies after the doctor said you guys can't have kids. So those of you all that are tested and you're tried in your faith, you just heard 2 stories of how God can make it happen for you. You just believe him. You might not have a reason to believe, just believe him. He's going to show himself strong in your life. All right. So that's my little test. Anybody else got something? Maybe 1 or 2, and then we'll start wrapping it up.
Dexter, I just wanted to pop in because I think it's paramount.
Yes, sir.
Back to thinking about when we rejoined you all in entrepreneurial business and multi-level marketing. We knew you all at a different time, but in 2023, we got reacquainted with you all. In 2022, I get my physicals in October. And I'm blessed to say a lot of my family has high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, those things missing. And thank God for it. But in October 2022, the doctor sat me down and said, your PSA level is dramatically higher than it's ever been. You've never had a problem, but your PSA level is dramatically higher. And so I had a colonoscopy, came back wonderful. Everything was just what it should be. But in 2022, they said, we're going to monitor it for a couple of months. It was like at 5 or 6. It was just higher than what it normally would be. By the time 2023 started coming around, it was at 8.6. You know, okay, we got to run some tests. We got to get your biopsy. Start naming things. I'm like, and when I started hearing these things, I heard them, didn't hear it. You know, I'm like, my mind is just racing. What is this all about? Because my dad had prostate cancer, and it really took him down. Didn't take him out, but it took him down. And I'm like, wow. So in about February of 2023, they said, yeah, after all the tests we ran, we found prostate cancer. Mm-hmm. You know, I had just, in 2020, at the end of 2022, I stopped pastoring. It's like, you know, I'm tired. I'm just a little tiny. I need a break. And so I'm like, well, I didn't expect the break to lapse into something like this. So we prayed, we sought God's direction, and we were just doing things like we normally do, trying to find, my wife and I trying to find outlets that made sense to us. We always have been in business together. In July, we'll be married 31 years, and we've been in business since the early 80s. We've known each other since kids. So we've been just that kind of way. And so we almost joined a business, a multi-MLM business in February 2023, right? But my wife got in touch with your wife, Dexter, and found out that you all were about to have something coming up. I think after we sat with this company for about a month and a half, but she found out through your wife something's about to happen, so you all need to come, just come meet with us. And so we're sitting there, and I'm going through all of this, and my mind is racing, not knowing what I'm going to do, praying. I know I'm a man of faith. I pray about other people's condition, now I have to deal with my own. And so when you all sat down in May, when you all had the first meeting, and then eventually shared what you all shared, it was like, okay, God just laid something in our lap, and it was known. God sent, God made, God directed. Fast forward to July, around my birthday time. It was still, it was coming down. My PSA was coming down. My health was getting better, but they're like, you know, it's up to you. You can get radiation treatment. You can try to live with it, but it's contained. So we can go get it if you want us to go get it. We prayed over it. I was loading up on Noni. I was loading up on. I've always tried to eat healthy and try to do the best I can for my health. We've always been like that. God has blessed us to have that mindset. I decided, we prayed on it, and I went ahead and had surgery. But the testimony is, I had it in July. I think you all know that, July 2023. After I had the surgery, my doctor, the urologist and the surgeon, came back to my wife, and he was just shaking his head. And she was like, my wife is from the South Side, she's like, wait a minute, something wrong? She's from the South Side of the city of Chicago. You don't just start shaking your head. My husband's on the operating table, and you come out shaking your head. and so he said, no, nothing wrong. I just in disbelief. He said, and he's been doing the surgery. He's been done thousands of them, and for decades. He's not an old man, but he's just been doing surgery. So he said this to my wife, and we can quote him and ask him to come on eventually sometime. I've never seen cells this healthy in a man who's had cancer.
Mhm.
And he said, it didn't spread, it just stayed where we needed it to stay for months. It didn't move. But when we looked at he said, the robot showed me, he said, these cells are just amazing, right? To God be the glory for what Noni can do.
Mm.
And so, maybe two, but I'm wearing briefs. I went back to see him about a month and a half ago. He said, how you doing? I said, I'm not wearing those diapers anymore. I'm in my briefs again. He said, what in the what? I said, yes, sir. And that doesn't happen. That usually does not happen.
Yeah.
Like last 123.
Yeah.
And rapidly. And I give him all the glory. And that's how my faith, I know that God is real based on what he's done for me.
Wow. Y'all, let's give it up. Pastor Vickers, amazing. Man, this has been absolutely phenomenal. Gentlemen, you guys have been a tremendous blessing. So this is what we're going to do for the sake of time. Let's do very quickly. I'm going to call you guys by name the way I see you on the camera. If you could just share 1 minute, minute and a half of wisdom and let people know how that they can connect with you. We're going to start with Apostle Dom. Come on up, sir.
Yes, sir. First of all, you can connect with me on Instagram at Mr. TPG _. Again, Mr. TPG _. And then my name is Dominique Campbell on Facebook. You can find me on both of those platforms there. Just a quick nugget. Find out who you are, right? Find out who you are in God. It changes your perspective on everything, right? Your decisions will be different. Your family will be different. The way you raise your children will be different once you really figure out your identity in Christ, right? And so that's my encouragement tonight is really do the deep dive, do the research. It's more than ancestry, right? We do it in the natural, right? But you got to do it on the spiritual tip too. And really understanding what you're called to do and figuring out your vision for your life and just let God do the rest. Trust him through the process and he'll make the difference in your life. So that's it for me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Mr. Ryan, come on up, sir.
Hey, this was phenomenal. I think we got to do this again. I think we already got something on account. We got to do this again. I mean, there's more men that needs to hear it and see it. So I see this going forward. I'm Ryan Piggy. You can connect with me on social media platforms, Ryan S. Piggy. So you can reach out there, Facebook, Instagram. You can connect. The words of wisdom is you have something great inside of you. Right. So tap into those things that you know that you feel. Don't let those things go to the wayside because you could be the next person that has the big thing or invention or project that turns into a success. So you as men, you have the power to create, you have the power to build, you have the power to imagine, you have the power already inside of you. And don't ever forget that. Now, having the power is one thing, executing on that power is the second thing. And a lot of things that men fail on is the execution. So connect with brothers. Brotherhoods are so important because they can help you with the muscle. There's something in the collective. There's something called a collective power that is stronger than a lot of powers that you can have on your own. Collective power can allow you to get that thing over the line. So link up with some brothers that can help you, motivate you, and allow you to take that thing to the end, get it over the goal line. Don't fall short. Don't get tackled at the 1 yard line. Get that thing into the end zone.
That's good. That's good. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that, sir. Mr. Avery Williamson Sr.
Yes, sir. This has been a phenomenal night, man. I'm just so honored again to be with such great men of God, men that have had powerful testimonies. Again, I agree with Ryan. I'm excited for the next time we can come together. You can reach me on Facebook, Avery Williamson Sr. I'm going backwards. Avery Senior Williamson. Avery Williamson Sr. on Facebook, on Instagram, 5DADD7. 5DADD7, 5-7. And just a quick word of wisdom. I was thinking about this on the way. I didn't know if I would have a chance to share it, so here we go. Don't stop dreaming. Ryan talked about that. And the Lord, I believe this is from the Lord, y'all judge it, but that your imagination or the ability to dream is the highest realm that God gives us to experience what goes beyond our natural ability. Dreaming, your imagination takes you beyond your natural ability. Because when you imagine something, it's beyond your ability to do it.
Right. Wow.
And so what it does, it aligns ourselves with God's way of thinking, because the scriptures say he's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we could ask or think. There is a realm. See, that's why the enemy wants to keep men from dreaming. That's why discouragement, depression, all those things come into our lives, because he wants to keep us from dreaming. Brief word of testimony. I've shared this with Dexter. I remember I'm father of 5, grandfather of 7 kids, right? I remember when we didn't have any money. And I told Dexter this. I said, Dexter, you know what we would do? We would go riding around and look at the biggest houses we could find so we could keep dreaming.
That's good.
So we can keep dreaming. So my brothers, keep dreaming. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Avery. Awesome. All right, Bishop of Church.
Well, bless the Lord. I can be contacted via Facebook, Ulysses O Upchurch, Ulysses O Upchurch on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. But I would just say, really just having faith in God, really having your faith in God, walking in your purpose, therefore knowing your purpose, and then receiving the vision that God has for you. Because I believe men are visionaries, and I believe God gives us vision. And as you prepare that vision and you solidify it, then he gives you the help meet to go along to help with that vision. As your wives are designed to help you with something. But if you don't give them a vision, they ain't got nothing to help with. So having that vision and walking that out, I believe is one of the key essentialities to fulfilling your destiny in God. Because Christ has given each of us a vision. He's given each of us a destiny, but it starts with our faith. It starts with us knowing our purpose, walking in that purpose, and staying on track. And a vision will help you to do that. Once you get that vision, write it, make it plain. Vision for your household, vision if you're in ministry, for your church, just vision, just having the insight to see, like we've seen tonight, we see, as the visions are being painted before us, walking in our health, walking in, in a good mindset, good mentally, emotionally, physically. A vision is being painted for us tonight to follow. So I believe that that's essential. And as we do that, I think that's going to keep us on track to being successful and causing future generations to come behind us to do the same thing. I believe that's our main purpose.
Yes,
God bless you all.
Yes, sir. Bishop, tell me where you're from. You are from?
I'm from Sanford, North Carolina, the big city of Sanford, North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
They're the central part of North Carolina below, about an hour from Raleigh area there. Our church is right there, Increasing Faith Deliverance Ministries. They're in the heart of Sanford. But I work in Raleigh. I'm always constantly running around in Raleigh for work and things like that. I work for the city of Raleigh. So that's kind of area I'm between Raleigh and Sanford, and I live in Benson. So I'm all over the planet. God
Okay.
bless.
Yes, sir. That's one thing I failed to ask the gentleman to share where they're from. I know Apostle Dom is in California, correct? And Ryan is Raleigh,
Yep, Raleigh.
North Carolina. Avery Williamson is from Greensboro, and we have Sanford. Okay, so we're bringing up now Mr. James King.
And I am in Jackson, Mississippi, the huge city of Jackson, Mississippi. But you can find me on Facebook, James E. King. On Instagram, it's officially the Kings or the Legacy Nation. You can find us that way. And it's three principles that my family and I live by. Number one, keep God the center and love people at all times. Number two, gratitude is the seed for more. And last but not least, honor is the seed for access. And somebody can put that in the comments. Is keep God the center and love people no matter what every day. Number two, gratitude is the seed for more to have to be grateful for. And number three, honor is the seed for access. The more you honor people, the more you have access to things that God wants you to have. So James King, like I said before, James and Natasha King out of Jackson, Mississippi. Thank you so much, Dexter, for this night. We really believe that we was all in a room where it actually happened tonight, and looking forward to doing this again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. Right, Mr. Randy Summers.
Yes, sir. I just want to say thank you for this wisdom and knowledge that has been imputed to really the world, to me, and to all that have had a listening ear to hear. I just thank you for where the Bible says, 1 Thessalonians 5:16 says, men ought to always pray. And I just want to just thank you for the time that have we been together, and iron sharpens iron. So this is such a good input of wisdom that these men have enabled us to come together and say, and I just thank y'all for just being a part of such wisdom that is here on today. And I live in Brown Summit.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Appreciate that, sir. And that was 1 Thessalonians 5:16, right? Can somebody somebody type that in the comment section? I love capturing these scriptures. Thank you. All right, Pastor Vickers.
Again, Brother Dexter, I want to sincerely express my gratitude to be part of this, and also not only participate, just to experience it. I've been blessed just to hear from these other men and from you. You can reach me at Anthony Vickers on Facebook. On our Instagram, it's AAV711. AAV711. Last thing I want to say, to point out to wisdom, it's been submitted in my spirit this year, stronger than ever. Manhood is ministry. We take that for granted. It's more than just waking up one day and somebody telling you from boy to man who you are. God has handcrafted you for an assignment that nobody else can fulfill but you personally. So Genesis 1:27 is something we need to input ourselves into. God created, and whoever you are, that's who you are in that scripture, in his image and after his likeness. So it has fulfillment in you. You have to faithfully try to follow and to pursue. And this is from God, nobody else. And we just need to live out our assignments. And accountability has become a real strength for me. And I pray that as God opens up doors and avenues for this to happen, for us to continue to share like we are, that others will lend themselves to be held accountable as men. So I'm grateful to just.
Sir. That's awesome. Genesis 1:27. Can somebody type that in the comment section? Okay. Mr. Fillinganes, AJ Fillinganes, come on up, sir.
Well, I lead with Ecclesiastes 9:11. It talks about unforeseen occurrence. It befalls us all. So no matter what we're going through in life, sometimes we don't know why things are happening. It just sometimes is just your turn. And by us remaining spiritually inclined, staying close to God in prayer, and putting action behind those prayers, we don't want to have them empty. I always pattern myself after Job. Is one of my favorite Bible characters because his faith is what it was all about. He didn't know why things were happening to him, but he pursued and continued to love God and give him the glory. And through it all, he was blessed because his efforts remained true. So be true to yourself, men. Get rid of the ego. It stands for exiting God out. Don't have the ego. My sum up is, please, like we said earlier, go get checked out because an ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure. Dex, thanks for having me, and I hope to see y'all again soon.
Got it. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And that scripture was Ecclesiastes 9:11. So somebody
Yes.
type it in the comment section. I don't know if Mr. George Johnson is available. George, are you available? Just want to check before we go ahead.
I'm available. I'm available.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate this platform that you put together, Dexter. I always believe that you are God sent, not just for the entrepreneurs, but for the many. I have to leave. I'm in Dallas, Georgia, which is on the outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm original from Norfolk, Virginia. But I would say this, for us men to be authentic to ourselves, to be authentic to God, in turn, it'll allow us to influence, inspire, and motivate others that's connected or in our presence to become the best version of themselves. You can find me on Facebook, George D. Johnson. On Instagram, I am Pastor G. And also, me and my wife's ministry is GSJ Ministry. And one of our mottos is this: no fear here, just faith. I end with that.
All right. I love it. I love it. George, thank you for that. That was amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, I have one call to action that I would like to tell everybody. So men that are watching, find one man. If you don't have one, find one man that you can confide in and make that person the gentleman that you call, that you can talk with, somebody that you can just pick up the phone and say, hey man, I'm not doing okay. That's the call to action for all the men that are watching. Another thing is I'm going to be getting with the gentleman here on the screen. These gentlemen are busy. We're glad that we could get them all together. So I'm going to meet with the gentleman here on the screen, and we're going to come up with another date to come back before you in July. We'll get that date out as soon as possible. We would love for you all to come back. We're going to take the conversation a little deeper. Now, this is a request that I have, is for the men that are watching, if there are any topics that you would like us to speak on, if you can inbox me on Facebook, send me an inbox with your recommendations of the subject lines or some questions that you would like us to answer. We will absolutely do that. And we want to say thank you so much for attending tonight's session. I'm going to give this quote. It's by Og Mandino. He says that within me burns a flame that has been passed down from generations uncounted. And its heat is a constant irritation to my spirit to be more than I am, and I will. And I will take this constant irritation to proclaim my uniqueness to the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, there's a uniqueness that you have. There's a flame, men, that's burning inside of you. It has been handed down from generations. It is up to you to carry it out. Carry out that light, carry out that flame, and put it into the world. These gentlemen here have been such a blessing to all of us tonight. I am honored. This has been absolutely amazing. You guys have given me stuff that I'm going to dream about tonight. I know it. It is powerful. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the comment section, if you will, just thank these men for taking the time out of their schedule to bless us on this evening. We would like to ask you also to be on the lookout for the next announcement for the Man Cave Conversations. Don't forget to connect with all of these men. They gave you all of their social media handles. Connect with them. If there's any questions that you might have of them in their journey, even the products that they've been taking to help them on their health and wellness journey, make sure you reach out to them for that. I want to say thank you to my wife. I want to say thank you to Miss LaShawn Williamson, Miss Chetty Martin. They were the brain children, the brain ladies behind helping put this together. And to all of your wives, gentlemen that are here, thank you. We appreciate you. Love you guys. Men, thank you so much. We're signing off. God bless each and every one of you. We're going to see you on the next broadcast. If you're watching on the replay, make sure you put your comments in the comment section and let us know your thoughts. What you say, babe? Oh, Renee Summers. Can't forget Renee. Randy, tell your wife we said thank you. Okay? All right, guys. Have a good evening. Thanks for everything. We'll see you guys soon. God bless.